On tonight's episode of Fandom United, we did it, Star Trek fans. We got the show. Let's get into it.
I'm Rich.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Othello.
I'm John.
And by our fandoms combined, we're Fandom United. So I just have to get into it because I'm so excited about this news. And I was trying not to be giddy during our pre-call when we talk about it. And I've been trying to contain it all day. But Star Trek fans, we did it. We did it. Paramount listened. And we're going to get Anson Mount back as Captain Pike, Ethan Peck as Mr. Spock, and Rebecca Romaine as Number One. We're getting them back in a show featuring the Enterprise in the Discovery universe. It's going to be called Star Trek Strange New World. I'm trying not to be so excited about it because I wanted the show from the moment Anson Mount stepped on the bridge of Discovery in season 2. But man, it's a long time coming. This news would come through.
That is the beauty of social media. Like, if before this, that something like this never would have happened without social media.
Look at Firefly.
Oh, come on, bro. Why are you doing this?
I think Firefly. I think social media would have saved Firefly. I honestly do. If the internet had been a little bit further along than it was at that time, I think that the fans would have had a voice that the Fox would have heard, and I think we would have saw more of it.
I don't think so. I think Fox hates us.
I think you're wrong.
I think Fox likes to create good sci-fi shows and then take them away from us like we're bad children because Fox doesn't.
They don't believe that you deserve it.
Yeah, I think Fox just exists to hate us, and that is why they were punished by being acquired by Disney. That was their punishment. We've been working on this behind the scenes since they screwed us over Firefly to make sure that those people all got ejected from the entertainment business, and we did it, and sold them to the worst possible partner they could have, Disney. We did it.
So get into your exciting Star Trek news. What's going on?
I think, you know what, though, we talk about social media and all that. I think CBS was planning to do a show anyway based on these characters when they showed up, because when you look at Discovery, they took the first ship in Discovery, the Shinzo. After that, they left that ship and all that. They redressed those sets, which they often do on Trek and other shows like it, and made those sets the Discovery sets. They didn't do that with the Enterprise. Every piece of Enterprise corridor, the bridge, the rooms, all of that, they built brand spanking new. They didn't try to reuse anything from Discovery. They built them new. So I think there was always a plan to see how fans would react to these characters. And it doesn't surprise me. I was just kind of like waiting and like, come on, y'all, let's go. We know it's going to happen. Just go ahead and make the announcement. Make the announcement already. And they didn't. And finally today, or yesterday, the announcement came out that we're getting this show finally.
If that was the plan, I think that was a smart way to do it, though.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, look how polarizing the Bad Robot Star Trek movies were. Mm-hmm. How polarizing they were for Star Trek fans. I personally liked them, but they felt more like Star Wars than they did Star Trek, which is why I like them.
That's why you like them.
I mean, they opened the door to like a whole brand new group of people, but the old people, the older fans of the original shows, I think felt alienated for the most part. I mean, there are some that liked it, but I would say that there was more people that were less than happy about that. So I think this was a smart way for them to, hey, we're going to tiptoe into this and see if people look like they want it or not. So I think that was a smart way to go about it.
And
I agree. Go ahead.
From people's reactions, what I find interesting is a lot of people are interested in Number One.
Yeah,
like, that's what they want to learn. That's who they want to learn about from the new show is Number One. I guess she was just such a mystery.
Because this character was only seen ever in the pilot.
Right.
So Captain Pike was the original captain of the Enterprise during the pilot, and Majel Barrett played his Number One, and that was the only name she had. She didn't have her name Una I forgot what her last name is, but her name was Number One. That's what he called her, Number One. And Spock. Those are the only. Those are your three main characters for the pilot. When it came down to it and the pilot didn't get picked up, Gene Roddenberry fought tooth and nail to get it done, and they're trying to rework it. And they said, well, they wanted to scrap everybody, recast everybody, and the only person he really, really fought for and dug his heels in for was Spock. So everybody else got recast. And that's where you get Kirk and McCoy and Scotty and all those other guys that showed up because it was recast. And that's why Spock is the only holdover from the pilot. So this character is a blank slate. So they're gonna, be able to do whatever they want to with that character, and it'll be interesting. One of the things I thought would be interesting though, because I noticed in Discovery, is that she's the helmsman of the Enterprise. Well, as we know, when Kirk is in command, Sulu is the helmsman. So I think it would be funny if a young hotshot ensign Sulu shows up. And I mean, I know it will be a retcon to his, service record as far as Trek history goes, but I just think it would be a really good chance for her to kind of interact with somebody else. This young hotshot pilot comes up who flies the ship better than she does, kind of thing. In the last couple seasons, kind of bring Sulu in and kind of make that touch point to the next iteration of that ship and that command structure.
This is a weird nerd thing that I would like to see, but I would like to see them explain why it goes from like this really high tech Star Trek to the more low tech version that Kirk takes over.
Just ignore it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it.
That's the same problem with Phantom Menace. The technology was so much further along, that they were living in than it was in 4, 5, and 6.
I mean, it felt like they kind of, like the storyline of Discovery season 2 kind of explained why they went low tech, because them getting high tech was what almost ended the universe.
Well, it wasn't really necessarily them being high tech, right? But it was dealing with AIs and all of that. That was their issue. Dealing with sentient computers and AI, super smart AIs. And that's why they backed off of that. But they didn't stop, advancing technology. And of course the dangers of the spore drive, and that was just too dangerous tactically. But you got to remember, the original show was, in the 60s. That's what 60s sci-fi looked like. It was just, blinking lights and simple buttons and colorful buttons, because that's just what they had the capability to do. I will say though, in this new bridge that they built, if you go back and look at those Discovery episodes, the mixture of modern and old school, like the update to Spock's area, the science area, it looks like you would, what I mean? It's just like, it's an updated version of what was on the original show. He still has like that visor that Spock used to look into. He has some of the same display screens Spock had, some of the same buttons, but there's just a little bit more real world feel to it. It looks a little bit more high tech. Not maybe necessarily as cutting edge tech as Discovery, but still a lot higher tech than what we got in the original show. And it still looks, it's an amazing translation. It's an amazing translation. And I think that's they're not even going to really touch on that. They're just going to go forward and say, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. And they're just going to move forward. So my next question would be, I guess, for Rich. So you watched Discovery season 2.
I did.
Being a Star Trek guy, which, what did you think about Anson Mount's portrayal as Captain Pike and Ethan Peck's portrayal as Spock?
Man, honestly, I thought that was what was more exciting than the Discovery storyline. And it's like, okay, yeah, I don't know if it's just because people are more emotionally invested in that, not so much even those characters, because Spock's the only one that people really saw, other than like the newer version of Pike and the bad robot stuff. But
we had
I don't know if it was just,
we had the menagerie in the cage that Pike was mentioning.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just that it was a more familiar feel of, hey, these guys belong to the Star Trek that I feel comfortable with, but it felt like that was going to be a better playground to be in than Discovery, which I like Discovery. I wouldn't say that it was great. I understand why there's some people who just really don't like it, but I don't regret watching it. The payoff was better than Battlestar Galactica.
I think it had some good parts to it, but I think everyone's biggest complaint is it just doesn't feel like Star Trek. It doesn't feel.
Yeah.
It feels like
You're
show
right.
in Star Trek universe, but it doesn't feel like Star Trek.
God, he brings up Battlestar Galactica's ending to me all the time.
I know.
Hey, I
just
like
wants to see
Battlestar
my
Galactica,
reaction.
all but that last bit of the last season. I mean, it was good, and it was starts waning, then it get good again, and it starts like really waning, and
Since
then
we
it's like, okay,
started
come on,
doing
get good
this
again, get
show,
there.
Rich has brought up Battlestar Galactica at least 10 times. At least.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm always gonna bring up things that are gonna upset Othello because that's just.
Yeah, that's just.
I love him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how you show love. Okay.
Hey, brother, you come to my store and you do the same thing.
You know what? Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna start making fun of your kids again. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna make your kids cry, and then I'm gonna leave and go home.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, yeah. See, he just threw me off. He threw me off with the whole Battlestar Galactica thing. I hate you.
All right, I'll throw in my question for the panel. Do you think it's going to be a serialized show or episodic?
I just saw something, and it's rumor, but it's from Akiva Goldsman, and who's going to be the showrunner. He's the executive producer, and he confirmed that New Worlds will have a more optimistic tone than the darker Discovery and Picard, and something that Anson Mount alluded to in the announcement video, and that he's also going to go back to being a little bit more episodic in nature, like they did back in the day with the original network broadcast shows. And I think that is the best. I think that is how Trek works best, is an episodic nature. You can't tell me we have a show called Strange New Worlds, and the whole season we're just talking about one or two worlds that we visit. We want to see this amazing universe and go out there and see you exploring and interacting with these strange, new worlds and these interesting cultures and, these interesting phenomena. That's why we watch Trek. That's one of the reasons we watch. And I think them going back to that is kind of going to harken back to something classic in Trek, with being a little bit more optimistic. And I think it's going to show Paramount, Viacom, CBS, Viacom, Paramount. I think it's going to show them that that's the way to do Trek. And I think if enough old school fans rally around it, that will end up being the CBS All Access flagship Star Trek show.
It should have been a flagship show from the beginning.
Yeah.
If Discovery is the vehicle by which we discover these characters and we're able to plug them in here, I don't think. Okay, let me say, I don't think I'd want the show as bad if they had started with this show. The fact that I'm an old school Trek guy and I'm watching Discovery just because it's new Trek, but I'm not really, that into it because it doesn't have like a Trek feeling.
Well, what was your thoughts on? I don't want to jump too far, but what was your thoughts on Picard?
Well, okay, but let me to finish that thought though. I just think that when Anson Mount and those guys showed up in the second season, to me they saved the show. They saved Discovery, literally the show, and he was the best part of that season.
I think if they would have,
that's part of that season.
If they would have started with, "Hey, we're rebooting the original Star Trek, but we're starting with Pike," I think that would have turned more people off from the beginning, and they wouldn't even get out the gate with it. For them to slip it in to this other story that's set at the same time, I think that was a smart way to go. Because I think it showed people, hey, this is what you want, even though you wouldn't have said this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
And you didn't realize that this is what you wanted. But I mean,
bringing them into Discovery, which was so far away from what you really want as a classic Trek fan, to bring you something that harkens back to that classic Trek, and it's familiar and it feels good and it feels right, even though it has a little bit modern trappings, and you're like, yeah, that's what's up. I like that. I want that. I think that's just I think that's a smart move on that part. I don't think it would be as good without Discovery. And then to answer your question real quick on Picard, did I like Picard? Is that what you're asking?
Like, did it feel like, as a Star Trek fan, did it fill a void for you or no? No.
I liked it better than he did.
Not really. It's funny though, and it's not that I hate Jean-Luc as a character. I love Jean-Luc, but one of my favorite parts of this series, even though the CGI sucked in that moment, was when Will showed up, when Riker shows up with the Federation fleet. And I'm like, I want to watch that guy's show. When he showed up talking trash to the Romulans, he's like, you got a fleet, I got a fleet. Let's get at it. Let's see who wins. I ain't even trying to be diplomatic right now. You make the next move. If you swing, I'm gonna knock you out. I was like, I want to watch that dude show.
Time out, because I haven't seen it. So
Thank you for saying that, because I almost said something that would have spoiled the whole.
There's a moment in the show that Will Riker shows up.
Wow.
Acting is he captain? Still captain.
No, he was acting. He's
acting
retired.
Captain Riker. Well, for some reason, I'm thinking of the books because at some point he was made an admiral. But anyway, he shows up to stare down a Romulan fleet that Jean-Luc is getting ready to get annihilated by, and so it was a cool moment to see Jonathan Frakes in a uniform with that lean in the command chair. He got that Riker lean. Got that Riker attitude. I was like, I'm ready to watch this dude. That was probably my favorite moment of the show because it harkened back to that.
I think it would have been better is if he would have stood up and did the one knee thing.
Yeah, or or if he had done if he had just even like stood up a little bit and did the shirt tuck, the card maneuver, or something like that. You know what I mean? It just kind of harkened back to Next Gen more than anything else I saw in that season.
Okay.
Not to say that you can't move on with the character, but I just didn't. I don't know. Picard just didn't grab me like I wanted it to, and I'll still watch. I'll still watch because I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to Trek.
Okay, real quick, the original thing that you'd asked about episodic versus serial, I would like to see them do kind of a hybrid. Like, well, the best Star Trek that they did was Enterprise, and that's kind of what they did, where there was a story arc that went through the whole season.
He's doing it again. He's doing it again. He knows I can't stand this show. He's doing it again. Whatever he says is
Scott
complete
Bakula
bullshit.
was the best captain.
Can we mute Rich, please? This is whatever,
Yeah,
dude.
I mean those random shots of them sitting around naked talking to each other, that felt like Star Trek more than any other Star Trek show.
My eye twitch going on here.
There's so much stuff that they should not have done in that show. But overall, I did like that show, which I don't know why, but I really did. Probably just to spite Othello. I love you, buddy.
Yeah. So moving on. Yeah. I don't even want to play with you anymore. I don't even want to play the game. I did have an interesting rumor though. Rumored that they're going to introduce Uhura at some point, like a young Uhura, maybe Ensign Uhura. In that it's rumored, and I hope this is really just rumor and they don't do this, that they're going to introduce young Kirk as well.
Too early.
That's what I said. It's too early. We don't need Kirk on the show. Let Pike and those guys stand on their own.
Absolutely.
Without any of the original crew interfering. Maybe toward the end of their run, we'll see. No, because it's a 5-year mission. He's on a 5-year mission out there exploring. So I don't want to see her on the bridge as much as I love that character. I don't want to see Sulu until later on in the seasons, like maybe toward the end of their run, 5-6 years in, they come back and they say, hey, we picked up this new ensign Sulu and this new ensign, this new linguist Uhura. I don't need to see Kirk on. And the rumor is the guy that they're looking at playing Kirk is Jake Canaval. And I know his name isn't very familiar, but if you watched The Mandalorian and you watched the episode The Gunslinger, that's that guy. See, he's like, that's him. So he's rumored to be in the running or already cast as Jake or as Kirk. And it's rumored that he's already done some scenes virtually, through Zoom or whatever with Ethan Peck, like a screen test. And things are like moving forward with him being cast as young Kirk, but I hope they don't go there.
I think it'd be okay if he cameoed, but I don't want him as a main part of the show.
I don't even
I
want
think it's a
cameo.
left turn they don't need to do yet.
Yeah,
I agree.
You know what? Show me that at the end. Show me Lieutenant Commander Kirk who gets brought on the ship, and then maybe Pike brings him up in the last season or whatever before Pike gets injured. But even before that, in Trek lore, Kirk wasn't even on the ship when Pike got injured. He didn't take command over until after Pike was hurt. Then he took command of the Enterprise, and the only thing he really inherited was Spock as a first officer. We don't even know what happened to Number One. So the only thing Kirk inherited from Pike's crew was Spock as his first officer. So we don't know what happened to Number One. There's, whatever happened to her. That's plenty of story that they could talk about. And then how Pike really ends up being disabled and not being able to command the Enterprise. And of course, how Kirk then comes on and takes command. Those, you could, that's the only time. It's kind of like Smallville when they said you'll never see the suit. And if you see the suit, it's the very last moment of the very last episode. That's how it should be with Kirk on this show. If you see Kirk, it should be the very last moment of the very last episode where he steps onto the bridge. And they're like, Captain on the bridge, hey, everybody, I'm Captain Kirk. All right, credits, done. You know what I mean? Because I'm watching this for Pike and the crew that we saw, these characters that they really breathed life into on Discovery.
I agree.
And other than Ethan Peck, who did an impeccable job filling in for bringing up, like a Leonard Nimoy-esque Spock, but putting his own spin on it. Pike is an unknown for the most part. Number One is an unknown for sure, and they really made those characters their own. So I want to see what they do. I don't want to see Kirk and the original crew as much as I love them. I think it's too soon to even talk about it. All right, so the next bit of news we had. Let me check my time here. The next bit of news we had was.
We got 5 minutes.
5. Do we want to talk about? All right, real quick. Roundtable. We'll save the Mandalorian stuff for next week because we got a lot of Mandalorian news, and that's gonna be a lot more discussion too. Go around the horn. Deadpool 3, yes or no, and why do you think it's gonna happen? John, I'll start with you. Go ahead, John.
Deadpool 3 is going to happen. It's too much of a moneymaker. Even some of the rumors that they have are just fantastic, and I'm just looking forward to them.
Okay. Rich?
I think that they've got so many directions that they could go with that without just blowing a hole in the bottom of that boat. I think that they could make a PG-13 version that could fly at Disney and still be okay. But if they're smart, keep it R and do what made all that money that the first two made. Because as long as you don't switch it up and change it, people aren't going to be like, oh, we're going to stop paying attention to Disney. Hey, we're letting you teach our kids sorcery and all this crap, and we're okay with it. Go ahead, let them learn some curse words and about prison wallets and all that. So,
hey, if they go to public school, they know those words anyway.
I'm gonna throw this in, especially if they talk about like he knows he's being rebooted and he's in Disney, he's in Marvel.
That's an interesting rumor. That's probably the best way that they could approach it.
I think of the good.
The meta moments would be great.
Yeah, I think of the Good Place with him trying to cuss and he can't do it, and it comes out and he says something like "fart nuggets."
That would be funny. That would be
shirt
funny.
balls.
One curse word. That would be hilarious.
Don't want him to take
Aaron?
my mouth away again.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Aaron, what do you think?
I think it would be a dumb move not to bring it. It's too much of a moneymaker. I agree with John on that. I don't want them to PG-13 it. I think let him be. I don't even think they need to bring him into Marvel. I mean, I know that they're going to, but I think he'd be better off standing on his own.
See, it wouldn't bother me to see him machete him. Where hey, let him be machete, and then put him in Spy Kids also.
All right, I think they will make it, but I think a lot of it hinges on X-Men because he's so closely tied to that world. I think I don't know. I think X-Men is probably a more important property for them to launch right now, and I don't think they're struggling to they're not worried about Deadpool. They're worried about launching the X-Men franchise because Marvel is thinking in the long, not like let's make this quick $700 million, this quick $800 million. They don't care.
Yeah,
that's nothing to them. All right, that's all we got for you this week. There's so much more we can get into. But we'll let you guys go. Remember, if you enjoyed our conversation, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Don't hit the thumbs down because thumbs down doesn't work anyway. The algorithm is all messed up on YouTube and they think it's a thumbs up anyway. So just hit the thumbs up. And remember, tell them F you.